The massive alien ships hung in space like metal mountains, their hulls gleaming with strange lights that pulsed in patterns no human eye had ever seen. Commander Talrex stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small blue planet through the enormous viewing window. His forearms moved across the control panels with practiced ease, while his large black eyes studied the readings on his screens. "Such a primitive world," he said to his second-in-command. "Look at these readings, they still burn fossil fuels. They have not even left their own star system properly. How did they manage to send that small ship to meet us?" The second-in-command, a creature with 6 legs and skin like purple stone, clicked his mouthparts in what passed for laughter among his kind. "Perhaps they stole the technology, Commander. Many lower species try to copy what they cannot understand." Talrex nodded. For 3,000 years his people had ruled this part of the galaxy. The Hegemony Council controlled over 200 star systems, and every species they met either joined them willingly or was forced to submit. This new species, these humans, would be no different. The small human ship approaching his fleet looked like a toy compared to his massive warships. Its hull was made of simple metal, painted white with blue markings. It moved slowly, using what his sensors told him were chemical rockets. Chemical rockets. His people had stopped using such crude technology before they had even left their own planet. On the human ship, Captain Minho stood in the small command center, his hands sweating inside his spacesuit gloves. Around him, his crew of 12 worked at their stations, all of them trying to look calm even though they knew they might die in the next few minutes. "Any response to our messages?" Minho asked his communications officer. Jiwan shook her head, her face pale behind her helmet visor. "Nothing, sir. I have sent the peace treaty in 17 different languages. I have tried every frequency we know about. They are not answering." Minho looked out through the small window at the alien ships. There were at least 50 of them, each one larger than any building on Earth. Their weapons could destroy his ship with a single shot, and everyone knew it. "Keep trying," he said. "We came here to make peace. We will not give up." Back on the alien flagship, Talrex grew bored with watching the small human ship. He had seen this same scene many times before. A primitive species would send their best ship to try to talk to the mighty Hegemony Council. They would offer gifts, promise to serve, beg for mercy. It was always the same. "Should we answer their transmissions, Commander?" asked one of his officers. "Why waste time?" Talrex replied. "They will surrender soon enough. All the lower species do." But as the hours passed, the human ship did not leave. It did not try to run away. It just stayed there, sending the same messages over and over again. The messages spoke of peace, of trade, of friendship between species. They offered to share their knowledge, their culture, their resources. Talrex found this amusing. What could such a primitive species possibly have that the mighty Hegemony Council would want? Their planet was small and far from the main trade routes. Their technology was thousands of years behind. Their population was tiny compared to the great worlds of the Council. "Commander," said another officer, "the human ship is requesting permission to send a representative to speak with you directly." This made Talrex laugh, a sound like grinding metal that echoed through the bridge. "They want to negotiate with us? Do they not understand who we are?" He decided it was time to end this foolishness. The humans needed to learn their place in the galaxy, just like every other species had learned. Fear was the best teacher, and the Hegemony Council had perfected the art of creating fear. "Target their home planet," he ordered. "Pick 3 of their largest population centers. Fire quantum plasma charges. Make sure they understand what happens to species that waste our time." The weapons officer, a creature with tentacles instead of arms, moved quickly to obey. "Targets locked, Commander. The cities they call Seoul, Tokyo, and Sydney." Fire. The beams of pure energy crossed the space between the alien fleet and Earth in seconds. Each beam carried enough power to boil away mountains. They struck the 3 cities with perfect accuracy, turning millions of people into vapor in the blink of an eye. On the human ship, alarms began screaming. Jiwan turned to Captain Minho, tears streaming down her face inside her helmet. "Sir, they destroyed Seoul and Tokyo. And Sydney, 25 million people, gone. Minho stood perfectly still for a long moment. Around him, his crew waited for orders. Some were crying. Others looked angry. All of them looked to him for guidance. Finally, Minho walked to the communications console. He turned on the transmitter that would send his words not just to the alien fleet, but to every human listening post on Earth and beyond. "You have made a grave error," he said, his voice calm and cold. "We are not the species you think we are." In space, Commander Tal Rex waited for the surrender message that always came after such demonstrations. Instead, he watched something that had never happened before in 3,000 years of conquest. The human ship did not retreat. It did not surrender. It turned around and flew back toward Earth, leaving the alien fleet alone in the dark between the stars. For the first time in his life, Tal Rex felt a strange emotion he did not recognize. Later, he would learn that humans called it fear. The underground laboratories beneath what remained of Seoul buzzed with activity day and night. Dr. Hyunwoo had not slept in 3 days, his eyes red from staring at alien technology fragments scattered across his work tables. Around him, dozens of scientists worked with pieces of metal and strange crystals that had fallen from the sky during the attack. "This is impossible," muttered Dr. Soo-young, holding up a small device that glowed with soft blue light. "According to our physics, this should not work. But it does work, and it works perfectly." Hyunwoo wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at the readings on his computer screen. The alien weapon fragments were teaching them things about energy and matter that human science had never imagined. But more importantly, they were showing weaknesses. "Look at this," he called to his team. "Their plasma weapons need these crystal matrices to focus the energy. But the crystals are not perfect. They have a resonance frequency that makes them unstable under certain conditions." Above ground, the rescue operations continued. Colonel Sujin moved through the ruins of Seoul, her boots crunching on glass that had once been buildings. Her soldiers worked alongside civilians, pulling survivors from the wreckage and searching for anything useful in the destruction. "Colonel," called Sergeant Minsu, running toward her with a twisted piece of metal in his hands. "We found this embedded in a wall 3 kilometers from ground zero. It looks like part of their ship." Sujin took the fragment and examined it carefully. The metal was unlike anything on Earth, but it was not undamaged. Whatever had torn it from the alien ship had left stress patterns that told a story. "Get this to Dr. Hyunwoo," she ordered, "and send word to General Minji. Tell her we need to talk." In the military command center built deep inside a mountain, General Minji studied reports from around the world. The alien attack had been devastating, but it had also been revealing. The creatures from space had made their first mistake by leaving evidence behind. "What do we know about their fleet?" she asked Colonel Daeho, her chief of intelligence. "They have 57 ships in total," Daeho replied, pointing to a holographic display. 38 are large warships, 12 are support vessels, and 7 appear to be command ships. They are maintaining position just outside our moon's orbit. And their weaknesses. Daeho smiled grimly. "Dr. Hyunwoo believes their shields operate on a rotating frequency pattern. If we can match that pattern, we might be able to penetrate their defenses." Minji nodded. "How long do we need?" "Give us 2 weeks. You have 1 week." Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, Commander Tal Rex was growing impatient. He had expected the humans to surrender within hours of the bombardment. Instead, they had gone silent. No communications, no attempts at negotiation, no signs of the panic that usually followed such demonstrations of power. "Perhaps they are preparing their surrender documents," suggested his second-in-command. Tal Rex was not convinced. In his long career, he had conquered 47 different species. He knew the patterns of submission. The humans were not following those patterns. "Send a scout ship to investigate their largest remaining city," he ordered. "I want to know what they are doing." The scout ship, roughly the size of a human destroyer, descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Its crew of 6 aliens prepared their sensors to study the human response to their attack. They expected to see a broken civilization, desperate and ready to surrender. Instead, they found something that made their blood run cold. Captain Tae-hyung crouched in the ruins of a building, watching the alien scout ship through his binoculars. Around him, his team of 20 soldiers waited for his signal. They had been preparing for this moment for 6 days. "Target acquired," whispered Sergeant Nari into her radio. "All teams, prepare for contact." The alien ship landed in what had once been a park in the center of the city. Its crew emerged, walking on legs that bent in ways human legs could not. They carried weapons that hummed with energy and wore armor that reflected light like mirrors. They had come to study the humans. They did not expect the humans to be studying them. Tae-hyung waited until the aliens were 50 meters from their ship. Then he gave the signal. The attack came from all directions at once. Human soldiers emerged from the ruins carrying weapons that the aliens had never seen before. The weapons fired projectiles that moved faster than sound. Projectiles that could pierce alien armor and shatter alien bones. But the real surprise was not the weapons. It was the tactics. The aliens had evolved on a world where conflict was rare and usually involved single combat between individuals. They had never faced an enemy that attacked in coordinated groups, that used the environment as a weapon, that seemed to know exactly where they would move before they moved. Within minutes, 5 of the 6 aliens were dead. The 6th, wounded and terrified, was dragged away by human soldiers. In the underground laboratory, Dr. Hun-woo looked up from his work as soldiers brought in the captured alien. The creature was tall and thin, with 4 arms and large black eyes that showed far too much intelligence. "Can you understand me?" Hyun-woo asked in English. The alien said nothing. Hyun-woo tried again in Korean, then in Chinese, then in mathematical concepts displayed on a computer screen. Finally, the alien responded, speaking in a voice like grinding metal. "Your species should have surrendered," it said. "You cannot defeat the Hegemony Council. We are too strong." Dr. Hyun-woo smiled, a cold expression that made the alien shrink back in fear. "You are not as strong as you think," he replied, "and we are not as weak as you assumed. You are about to learn the difference." Above them, in the ruins of 3 great cities, humanity was learning to fight a war unlike any war in their history. And in the darkness of space, the alien fleet waited, still expecting surrender. They would wait a long time. Admiral Do-hyun stood on the bridge of humanity's first true warship, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. The ship had been built in secret over the past 3 months using technology stolen from the aliens and improved by human engineers. They called it the Revenge, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Report," he said to Commander Yoonji, who stood beside him studying the sensor readings. "The alien fleet is splitting up," she replied. 20 ships are heading toward the Mars colonies. Another 15 are moving toward the asteroid mining stations. They think they can hunt us down piece by piece. Do-hyun smiled coldly. The aliens still did not understand what they were fighting. They thought like conquerors, expecting their enemies to hide and defend. They did not think like hunters. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "Operation Bloodhound begins now." Light years away, Captain Ji-hoon piloted his fighter through the darkness, between stars. His ship was small, barely larger than an old Earth jet, but it carried technology that would have amazed the greatest human scientists just months ago. Alien faster-than-light drives, stolen and rebuilt. Weapons that fired concentrated energy instead of bullets. Shields that could deflect plasma beams. "Target in sight," reported his wingman Soman over the radio. One alien supply ship, just like intelligence said. The alien ship was huge, designed to carry food and equipment to their war fleet. It moved slowly through space, protected by only light shields because its crew believed they were safe in the deep void between star systems. They were wrong. Ji-hoon activated his weapons and dove toward the alien ship like a hawk attacking a mouse. His energy cannons punched through the alien shields as if they were made of paper. Behind him, Soman and 12 other human fighters followed, their weapons turning the massive supply ship into a floating wreck in minutes. But the real surprise came after the attack. As the alien crew tried to escape in small pods, human ships appeared from nowhere to capture them. Every alien prisoner was valuable now. Each one knew things that could help humanity win this war. On the alien flagship, Commander Talrex stared At the reports flooding in from across the galaxy. In the past week, his forces had lost 6 supply ships, 2 scout vessels, and an entire patrol squadron. The humans were not hiding on their home planet as expected. They were everywhere. How is this possible? He demanded of his intelligence officer. These creatures barely knew how to leave their own star system a few months ago. Now they are attacking our ships faster than we can track them. The intelligence officer, a creature with too many eyes and not enough answers, clicked nervously. Sir, we believe they are using our own technology against us. Every ship they capture gives them more knowledge of our systems. Talrex felt anger burning in his chest. Then we will stop giving them ships to capture. Send word to all fleet commanders. No more small groups, no more supply runs without heavy escort. We will crush them with overwhelming force. But the humans had already learned to expect this response. Captain Minho, the same man who had tried to make peace months ago, now commanded a battle group of 20 human ships. They waited in the shadow of a dead moon, their engines silent, their weapons ready. Contact, reported Lieutenant Jiwan from her sensor station. 30 alien ships approaching the Titan research station. They are moving in close formation, just as predicted. Minho nodded. The aliens were learning to travel in large groups for protection, but large groups moved slowly, and they made bigger targets. All ships, attack pattern Delta, he ordered. Hit them fast, hit them hard, then get out before they can respond. The human ships burst from their hiding place like angry hornets. Their weapons had been designed specifically to fight alien technology, using frequencies and tactics that the enemy could not counter. The alien formation, so carefully arranged for mutual protection, became a trap as human ships darted between the larger alien vessels, firing at close range and disappearing before return fire could reach them. In 15 minutes, 12 alien ships were destroyed and the rest were fleeing toward deep space. The humans had lost only one fighter, and its pilot had been rescued before his ship exploded. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Species that had been conquered by the Hegemony Council centuries ago began to whisper among themselves. The mighty aliens could be defeated. The humans were proving it every day. On a distant world called Kethmara, a slave species called the Zin heard about the human victories and began to hope. Their masters, the Hegemony Council, had ruled them for 500 years. But if the humans could fight back, maybe others could too. Similar thoughts were spreading to dozens of worlds. The Council's empire, built on fear and overwhelming force, was beginning to crack. And at the center of it all, on a small blue planet called Earth, humans were learning that they were very good at warfare. Dr. Hyunwoo worked day and night in his laboratory, now expanded into a massive underground complex. Around him, thousands of scientists and engineers built weapons and ships that combined human creativity with alien technology. Every captured alien device taught them something new. Every battle provided new data. We have cracked their communication codes, he reported to General Minji during their daily briefing. We can now listen to their fleet communications in real time. Minji smiled grimly. And what are they saying? They are scared, Hyunwoo replied. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Hegemony Council is truly frightened. They are calling for reinforcements from their core worlds. Good, said Minji. Let them bring everything they have. We will be ready. In space above Earth, the alien fleet that had once seemed invincible was now reduced to 38 ships. They stayed close together, afraid to venture far from their main group. Their commander sent desperate messages to his superiors, begging for help. But help was far away, and the humans were getting stronger every day. The war was about to enter a new phase, and this time, the aliens would be the ones fighting for survival. Dr. Yuna's fingers flew across the keyboard as lines of alien code scrolled down her computer screen. She had been working for 18 hours straight, surviving on coffee and determination. Around her, the quantum research facility hummed with the sound of dozens of computers processing stolen alien data. I think I have it, she whispered to herself, then louder to her team. Everyone, look at this. The other scientists gathered around her workstation as she pointed to a series of numbers on her screen. These are not just communication frequencies. They are navigation coordinates, Every major hegemony council world, every military base, every command center. Dr. Kangman, her assistant, stared at the data in amazement. This is their entire empire. If this information is correct, we know where they all live. Yuna nodded grimly. And more importantly, we know how to get there. 3 levels below, in the military command center, General Minji received the news with cold satisfaction. She studied the star charts that showed the locations of alien worlds, each one marked with details about population, defenses, and strategic importance. How accurate is this information? She asked Colonel Deho. We have confirmed it using data from 6 different captured alien ships, he replied. The coordinates match perfectly. This is real, General. Minji turned to Admiral Do-yun, who had traveled from his fleet to attend this meeting. How long would it take your ships to reach their nearest core world? With the improved faster-than-light drives, about 2 weeks, Do-hyun answered. But General, we are talking about attacking their home territories. They will have massive defenses. Then we will need to be smarter than they are, Minji said. And we will need help. That help came from an unexpected source. Across the galaxy, on dozens of worlds conquered by the Hegemony Council, rebellion was spreading. The Zin people of Kethmara had risen against their alien masters. The Torvan colonies had declared independence. Even species that had served the Council for centuries were beginning to question their loyalty. Captain Seung-ho commanded a small human ship that moved secretly between these rebel worlds. His mission was to coordinate the resistance, to turn the Council's own empire against itself. On the jungle world of Veltar, he met with leaders of the Noxian resistance. We have weapons, said Krextar, a Noxian with blue skin and 4 arms. But we need ships. The Council destroyed our fleet centuries ago. Seung-ho smiled and activated a holographic display showing the location of a Council supply depot. We will get you ships. But first you must help us with something. The plan was audacious and dangerous. While Admiral Do-hyun's main fleet attracted the Council's attention with direct attacks on their outer colonies, smaller human forces would work with local rebels to capture alien technology and disrupt their communications. But the Hegemony Council was not helpless. They had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years by being ruthless when threatened. Commander Talrex, now desperate to save his career and his life, proposed the ultimate solution to the Council's ruling body. We must destroy their homeworld. Completely, he said, his voice echoing through the great chamber where the Council met. Not just bombard their cities, but eliminate their star system entirely. The other Council members, representatives of a dozen different alien species, listened with growing unease. They had conquered many worlds, but they had never attempted to destroy an entire star system. The weapon exists, continued Talrex. The quantum solar destabilizer. We built it centuries ago, but never used it. It can cause any star to collapse into a black hole. Elder Vexthul, oldest member of the Council, spoke slowly. Such a weapon would kill billions of innocent beings. Many Council species have colonies in nearby systems. The humans must be stopped, Talrex insisted. They are like a disease, spreading rebellion throughout our empire. If we do not act now, we will lose everything. The vote was close, but fear won over wisdom. The Council authorized the use of the quantum solar destabilizer against Earth's sun. The weapon ship was enormous, larger than any vessel the Council had ever built. It moved slowly toward Earth's solar system, carrying technology that could end human civilization in minutes. Its crew of 300 aliens worked carefully, knowing that any mistake could destroy them along with their target. But they were not alone in space. Major Kehoe commanded a strike force of 50 human ships, the fastest and most advanced vessels in the human fleet. They had been waiting in the outer edges of the solar system, using captured alien sensors to watch for exactly this kind of threat. Target confirmed, reported Lieutenant Ariam from her sensor station. It is exactly what Dr. Yuna predicted, a stellar destruction weapon heading for our sun. Kehoe felt ice form in his stomach. If that weapon reached its target, Earth would die along with everyone on it. His parents lived on Earth. His sister worked in the Mars colonies. Billions of human lives depended on stopping this ship. All ships, attack formation Charlie, he ordered. We have one chance to stop them, make it count. The battle was fierce and desperate. The alien weapon ship was heavily defended, surrounded by escort vessels and protected by shields, stronger than anything the humans had encountered. But the human ships were smaller, faster, and crewed by people who knew they were fighting for the survival of their entire species. One by one, the escort ships fell to human weapons. The alien defenders fought bravely, but they were fighting for an empire while the humans were fighting for their homes. Major Kehoe's ship, damaged and leaking, made the final attack run on the weapon ship itself. His plasma cannons punched through the alien shields just as the weapon began to charge for firing. Kehoe to all ships, he broadcast as his weapons tore into the alien vessel's core. The weapon is destroyed. The sun is safe. But the message that followed was not one of celebration. Admiral Do-hyun's voice came through the communication channels, cold and final. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Do-hyun. The enemy has tried to destroy our entire species. There will be no more mercy. No more prisoners. No more negotiations. We are going to their core worlds, and we are going to end this war permanently. The Hegemony Council had made their final mistake. They had tried to commit genocide and they had failed. Now they would face the consequences of that failure. The blood price was about to be paid in full. The Council homeworld of Vorthak Prime had never seen war. For 3,000 years it had been the shining center of galactic civilization, protected by fleets that conquered distant stars while its people lived in crystal cities that touched the clouds. Today those same crystal spires burned like torches against the alien sky. Commander Talrex stood in the ruins of his command center, watching human ships fill the space above his world. His once mighty fleet was gone, destroyed in 100 battles across the galaxy. The few ships that remained could barely maintain orbit, their crews exhausted and their weapons depleted. "Sir," whispered his communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the human fleet." Talrex closed his 4 eyes for a moment, knowing what he would hear. When he opened them again, he was looking at the face of Admiral Do-hyun on the main screen. The human's expression was as cold as the space between stars. "Commander Talrex," Do-hyun said in a voice that carried across the galaxy, "I believe you have something to say to us." Talrex felt the weight of 3,000 years of empire crashing down on his shoulders. Around him, the other council members who had survived the war waited for his words. They were no longer the proud rulers of the galaxy. They were defeated, beings facing extinction. "We underestimated your species," he said finally. "We offer unconditional surrender. Please spare our worlds. Our people never wanted this war." The silence that followed seemed to last forever. Then Admiral Do-hyun spoke, and his words were heard on every council world, every rebel planet, every ship in space. "You had your chance for peace," he said. "You chose to make this about extinction. You tried to destroy our sun, our entire species, so be it." The transmission ended, leaving only the sound of approaching human ships. Captain Minho, the same man who had tried to negotiate peace a year ago, now commanded a battle group of 40 ships approaching the Council's military headquarters on Kethlar 7. The planet's defenses had once been considered impregnable. Orbital weapons platforms, energy shields, automated defense fleets that could destroy entire armadas. But the humans had learned all the Council's secrets. They knew every weakness, every backdoor, every flaw in the alien technology. More importantly, they had spent months preparing for this moment. "Ji-won, begin the assault," Minho ordered his communications officer who had served with him since the very beginning. Lieutenant Ji-won, now a commander, coordinated the attack with precision born of bitter experience. Human ships moved like a school of deadly fish attacking from 12 directions at once. The alien defenses designed to fight conventional battles could not adapt to the human style of warfare. Within hours, the planet's shields fell. Within days, its cities surrendered. The Council's most powerful military base had fallen to a species they had dismissed as primitive. On Earth, Dr. Hyunwoo worked in laboratories that now spanned entire continents. The alien technology that had once seemed impossible to understand was now as familiar to him as his own inventions. Around him, human engineers built weapons and ships that combined the best of both civilizations. The quantum communication network is fully operational, he reported to General Minji. We can coordinate attacks across the entire galaxy simultaneously. Minji nodded, studying the holographic display that showed the current state of the war. Red dots marked Council worlds still fighting. Blue dots showed human-controlled systems. Green dots indicated rebel worlds that had joined the human cause. There were far more blue and green dots than red ones. How many Council worlds remain? She asked. 17, replied Colonel Deho. But most of them have already begun evacuating their populations. They know what is coming. What was coming was the end of the Hegemony Council's empire. On world after world, alien leaders who had ruled for centuries found themselves facing human fleets backed by their own former subjects. The Zin people of Kethmara fought alongside human marines. The Torvan colonies provided ships and supplies. Even some council species had switched sides, unable to support their government's attempt at genocide. Captain Jihoon led the final assault on the council's last stronghold, a massive space station hidden in the Void Nebula. The station had been built as a refuge for the council's leadership, equipped with enough supplies to last 1,000 years and weapons that could destroy small fleets. But the humans did not come alone. With them flew ships from 50 different species, all united in their hatred of the council's rule. The battle was not just human against alien. It was the oppressed against the oppressor, the many against the few. The space station's weapons were powerful, but they could not target everything at once. Human fighters darted between the energy beams while rebel capital ships hammered the station's shields. Captain Jihoon and his wingman Soman led the final attack run that destroyed the station's power core. As the massive structure broke apart in silent explosions, the last of the Hegemony Council died with it. In the aftermath, as human ships patrolled space that had been enemy territory just months before, Admiral Do-hyun stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked out at the stars. The war was over. Humanity had won not just their freedom, but the freedom of dozens of other species. But victory had come at a terrible price. Earth's great cities lay in ruins. Millions of humans had died in the fighting. The galaxy itself was scarred by battles that had raged across 1,000 worlds. Captain Seung-ho, now an admiral himself, oversaw the construction of monuments on the former council worlds. Each monument carried the same message, carved in the languages of every species that had suffered under council rule. They started it. We finished it. Choose wisely. The galaxy had learned a lesson written in blood and fire. Some species grew stronger when pushed to the edge of extinction. The Hegemony Council had discovered this truth too late, and the stars themselves bore witness to their mistake. Years later, when new civilizations rose from the ashes of the old, they would remember the war that ended an empire. They would remember that the small blue planet called Earth had refused to surrender, had turned its pain into strength, and had brought justice to the galaxy. The blood price had been paid in full.